The AI video tool you used last week may have just claimed ownership of everything you created with it. Not hypothetically, not buried in some footnote nobody reads. Right there in the terms of service, the one you clicked through in about 4 seconds because you just wanted to make a video. And if you're a content creator, a marketer, a freelancer, a small business owner, that quiet little click may have cost you more than you realize. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll know exactly which platforms are doing this, why they're doing it, and what to actually use instead. Let's get specific, because vague warnings don't protect you. Documented facts do. Here's what's actually happening under the hood when you generate a video with most of the major AI platforms right now. You upload your footage, your voice, your face, your script. The platform runs it through its model, renders you a video, and sends it back. Feels like a transaction, right? You give them compute time, they give you output. Clean? Simple? It isn't. What most of these platforms are also doing, quietly, in the background, is using your input data to train their models. Your face, your voice patterns, your creative choices. The footage you uploaded, that all goes into the machine. And in a significant number of cases, the output you created, the finished video, is also covered under licensing language that gives the platform a perpetual, royalty-free right to use it. Not just store it, use it. Think about what that means for a second. If you're a freelancer who made a product video for a client using one of these tools, you may not actually own that video outright. You certainly can't guarantee your client that nobody else can use it. That's a professional liability problem, not just an abstract privacy concern. The 3 platforms this applies to most aggressively right now are the ones with the most users, which is exactly why it matters. Runway, Pika, and Synthesia all contain licensing clauses in their current terms that grant them broad rights to content processed through their systems. Runway's terms, as of early 2026, state that by uploading content, you grant them a worldwide, non-exclusive, royalty-free license to use, reproduce, modify, adapt, publish, translate, and distribute that content. The word modify in that sentence is doing a lot of work. That's not a storage license, that's a usage license. Pika's terms are similar, and Synthesia, which is widely used for corporate training videos, and explainers. Includes language around your likeness and voice data being retained and potentially used to improve their AI systems. Now, are these companies running ads with your face? Probably not, and I want to be fair here. But the legal right to do so, or to use your creative work to train future models that they'll then sell access to, that right exists. Dr. Meredith Whitaker, president of the Signal Foundation and a researcher with a long track record on data rights, has pointed out that this type of broad licensing language in AI platforms is becoming standard industry practice, not an exception. The Electronic Frontier Foundation published an analysis in late 2025 flagging exactly this pattern. Platforms writing terms that are technically legal but far exceed what users would consent to if they actually read them. Here's the real-world version of this. A freelance video producer named Marcus, 34, based in Austin, used one of these platforms to create a series of testimonial-style videos for a healthcare client. He processed real patient footage through the tool. Because it was faster, the results were good. 6 months later, he discovered the platform's terms gave them rights to that footage for model training purposes. His client had a HIPAA-sensitive situation on their hands. Marcus had to go back, disclose what had happened, and rebuild the deliverables from scratch. He lost the client. The platform's terms weren't illegal. They just weren't. What anyone would have agreed to if they'd been written in plain English. That story isn't unique. It's becoming a pattern. But here's what really bothers me about this. It's not an accident. To understand why these platforms are built this way, you have to understand what their actual product is. And it isn't video. The video is what they sell you. The data is what they sell to everyone else. Every major AI video generator right now is in a race. The race isn't for users. Users are cheap to acquire. The race is for training data, because training data is the moat. The company that has the most diverse, high-quality, real-world video input data can build the best next-generation model. And the best next-generation model is worth hundreds of millions of dollars in enterprise contracts, licensing deals, and investor capital. So what's the fastest, cheapest way to acquire massive amounts of real-world video data? You build a consumer product, you make it free or cheap, you get millions of people to upload their footage, and you write terms that let you keep it. You are not the customer. You're the data pipeline. This is the same playbook Google ran with Gmail in 2004, the same one Facebook ran with Photos, the same one every data-hungry platform has run when they needed training sets. The difference now is the stakes are higher. Video data, especially video with real faces, real voices, real environments, is the most valuable AI training data that exists right now. Motion, expression, tone, accent, lighting variation. You're handing them a data set that would cost a research lab millions to build from scratch. and you're doing it voluntarily because the output looked good. When I dug into the funding structures of 4 of the top AI video platforms, every single one has raised rounds specifically, earmarked for model development and data infrastructure, not product development, data infrastructure. That's not a coincidence. That's the business model made legible. It's like opening a restaurant where the food is free, but every table has a camera feeding footage to a research lab. You came for the meal. The meal was never really the point. And here's where the frustration builds for me. These companies know exactly what they're doing. They've hired enough lawyers to write terms that are legal. They've hired enough UX designers to make sure the consent flow is fast and frictionless. They're not confused about what they're taking. They've just made a calculation that most users won't read the terms, and the ones who do won't leave, because the product is good and the switching cost feels high. You felt something was off. If you're watching this, you probably already had a suspicion. You were right to have it. So here's how you actually navigate this without torching your workflow or going back to spending 40 hours in Premiere. There are 4 layers to this, and you don't have to implement all of them at once. Start with the ones that match your risk level. Layer 1 is knowing which platforms are actually safe to use for professional work. Right now, the cleanest terms in the space belong to 3 tools. CapCut for business, not the consumer version, the business tier, which includes explicit language stating they do not use your uploaded content for model training. Descript, which has been transparent about its data practices and gives you explicit data deletion rights. And Adobe Firefly Video, which benefits from Adobe's Content Authenticity Initiative commitments. Their terms explicitly carve out customer content from training data use. If you're doing paid client work, these 3 are where you should be operating. The cost difference is either 0 or minimal compared to the liability you're avoiding. It takes about 15 minutes to move your workflow over. Layer 2 is reading the one paragraph that actually matters. You don't need to read the full terms of service of every tool you use. You need to find one thing, the section titled License to User Content, or Content Rights, or Intellectual Property. Search the page for royalty-free. That phrase will tell you instantly whether the platform is claiming a usage license on your work. If you see royalty-free worldwide perpetual in that section, treat it as a red flag. That's not standard storage language. That's a content grab. Literally takes 30 seconds once you know what you're looking for. Layer 3 is the data separation strategy, and this one matters if you're uploading anything sensitive. Keep a second account, or use a separate browser profile, specifically for AI video tools you haven't fully vetted yet. Never upload real client footage, real faces, or proprietary assets to a platform you haven't confirmed has clean terms. Use placeholder footage, stock assets, or synthetic content for testing. The tools are good enough now that you can evaluate them without feeding them real data. Only move to your primary workflow once you've confirmed the terms are acceptable. This sounds like extra friction. It's 10 minutes of setup, and it's kept more than a few people I know out of serious professional trouble. Layer 4 is the nuclear option. And I'm not saying everyone needs this, but for some of you, it's the right call. Run local. Tools like Deforum, running on top of Stable Diffusion, and the open source builds of several video generation pipelines can now run on a decent consumer GPU. VRAM requirements have dropped significantly in the past 18 months. You can get usable results on an RTX 3070 or better. Your data never leaves your machine. No terms of service, no licensing clauses, no training pipeline. The output quality is behind the top commercial tools, but it's closing fast, and for certain use cases, especially anything involving proprietary content or client confidentiality, the trade-off is worth it. Here's how these 4 layers stack together. For day-to-day content creation where you're using your own footage and don't mind the platform having a license to non-sensitive material, layer 1 and 2 are enough. Pick a clean platform and know what you agreed to. For professional client work, add layer 3. Keep the data separated until you've done the 30-second terms check. For anything sensitive, confidential, or where ownership matters legally, go layer 4. Local generation, no external exposure, total time to implement all of this, maybe 2 hours the first time you set it up. After that, it's just habit. One important note before we move on. If you work in an enterprise environment, check with your IT or legal team before changing your tool set. Some organizations have approved vendor lists and security reviews that override personal tool choices. This advice is for independent creators, freelancers, and small business owners making their own tool decisions. Also, none of this is about avoiding legitimate AI tools. Adobe, Descript, CapCut Business, these are legitimate products with reasonable terms. This is about knowing the difference between a tool and a trap. Here's the bigger principle underneath all of this, and it applies way beyond AI video tools. Default settings are a design choice. Default agreements are a business decision. When a platform makes something frictionless, when they make it easy and fast and pleasant to click through and start using a product, that frictionlessness is engineered. It's not neutral. Every click they remove from the consent process is a deliberate choice to reduce the chance that you'll stop and read what you're agreeing to. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's product design. They teach it in design school. And the people building these platforms are not bad people. Most of them genuinely think their product is good and the data use is justified. But justified from their perspective and fair to you are two different things. The direction this is moving is worth paying attention to. As AI video gets better, the value of training data goes up. As the value goes up, the incentive to acquire it aggressively increases. The platforms that are aggressive about their terms today will be more aggressive in 6 months, not less, unless users push back. And users push back when they stop clicking through. You started this video with a vague sense that something in the AI video space felt off. Now you have specifics, which platforms, which clauses, which alternatives. You're not paranoid for caring about who owns your creative work. You're not being difficult for reading a terms of service before uploading client footage. You're being a professional. There are a lot of creators right now making the same choice. Staying informed, using tools that respect the relationship, building workflows that don't expose them or their clients. You're not alone in that. Your creative work is yours. The default doesn't get to change that unless you let it. Do the terms check today, not next week, not the next time you start a project. Today, for the tool you're already using. 30 seconds. Search for royalty-free. You'll either feel reassured, or you'll know it's time to make a change. Either outcome is better than not knowing. If this helped you, subscribe. I cover this stuff the moment it surfaces, not 3 months later when it's everywhere. And drop a comment. Which platform are you currently using for AI video? And have you actually read the terms? I read every single one.